This will be a combination of waking up and recording the dreams immediately just to have them noted down. I probably recorded them with the thought that I would tidy it up and re-record it later, but time is of the essence and I don't have time to do that, as well as having a dream and then writing it down and then recording what I wrote down later. So it'll be both types of presentations. I'll add in dates when I'm able to, precise dates when I'm able to, and apologies for the yawning for when I wake up and record. Okay, I'm trying to be obedient. I'm going to do a few updates, corrections, and try and get right into it as I have a bit of a backlog. So, corrections. I don't remember if it's in testimony 1 or testimony 2, but and it's relevant now. In one of those where I'm speaking about Russian forces and Chinese forces on American soil, I think I might have said that they were in dress blues, but that was because I confused dress blues with fatigues. They were in fatigues. And second correction would be, I think in Gotta Go, I referred to a song that I had stuck in my head after waking up from a dream. It's being from Soundgarden, and I believe it is from Stone Temple Pilots. Anywho, updates. So, right on cue, because Elohim is perfect and patient. In the last video, Gotta Go, I had mentioned that I had the understanding or the download that I needed to leave the city that I was in. And shortly thereafter, things started falling into place where I had an opening and a path forward to leave. It happened quite humorously and suddenly. I heard upon waking one day, Spirit put unto me that I could not live in a vax pass city. It was almost like I was given the final straw that I needed to leave the city I was in, and that was after seeing the confirmation of the cranes this past summer. So I know that the time was ticking down. And in the dream, with the cranes, and I don't remember if that's in the video of testimony 1 or testimony 2, because I don't remember where I split it, because on my end I just did one long recording. There was a calamity in that city, and seeing that along with seeing the war that has just come up, and also a dream that I had in December that I was waiting for a confirmation to give, to record and share. Everything's falling into place rather quickly. It feels like things are happening, like, there's information that comes downloaded, and sometimes it takes years for you to see evidences of it, and now it's down to months, which is very exciting and startling at the same time. I got the confirmation to share one of the dreams I'm about to share on February 13th. I had the dream on December 21st. But on February 13th, I was literally in the middle of moving. I was on a train with my car and two vehicles with the stuff and a traveling companion, moving all of my possessions from the Vax Pass city to a red territory. So I'm just gonna jump right into it here. This first segment will be about wars and warriors, Dub 3, and spiritual warfare. This one dream snippet that I'm going to share, I hadn't planned on sharing it, but I suppose it might be relevant, so why not share it? I had this dream in late September or early October of 2021. I was startled because I had been asking for a rapture dream, and this is one of two, which were unrapture dreams. But I think it's more important that I saw what I saw rather than my request, which was experiencing a rapture. But for this dream, from what I remember, because I didn't write this one down, but I'll give the gist. I hopped in a car. A gentleman picked me up, like a brother in Christ picked me up, and we were driving along and went to kind of like almost like an outpost or like a church on a hill, except this church wasn't like a formal building. It was just a clearing with a tent, and we went into this tent, and there were rows and rows and rows of seats, and where the pulpit would be, or where the speaker would be standing, there was a woman who, I think she was like going to call a name or going to let us know when our time was up to leave. And he and I grabbed a seat, and we were sitting down and we were waiting. And outside the tent, I started to hear rumblings and shaking. And I was really curious, and I was just like, oh, I really want to see what's going on outside. What's going on outside? What's that noise? What's that sound? So I think I had a few things in my hand, like a ticket and, I don't know, maybe keys or something. But I put them down and I asked him to watch my stuff, and he's like, sure. And he's like, you should hurry back. And I said, I'll be right back. I'll be real fast. And the lady wasn't calling names or anything. It seemed like everything was gonna take a while. So I went outside the tent, and when I went outside the tent, I had an overview of the coastline and cities, and I saw an airplane, and attached to this airplane was like a giant crate, which was weird to me because in my brain I knew that inside the crate, or rather, when the crate would land, I knew that it would explode. But it's weird because it just looked like a crate, almost like shipping supplies, or uh, I guess like in old war movies when you see like they drop a crate of supplies. It looked like that. The airplane itself didn't look unfriendly. It could have very well been like a commercial airliner. I don't know. The plane itself didn't look threatening. The load didn't look threatening, but it released its payload, and I saw it drop, and I saw a huge explosion, but this is all off in the distance. I wasn't in danger at all. And I went back inside the tent to tell him what was going on. And when I went inside the tent, all the churchgoers were gone except for maybe 3 people, something like that. And I was like, oh my goodness. The flight, they've already taken off. They've already left. So I went back outside the tent, and I was standing there. I wasn't scared. And I just thought to myself, I said, okay, all right. I remember trying to connect with the Ruach, trying to connect with the Holy Spirit, and it felt like a phone line that had been disconnected. It just felt like there was nothing on the other end of the phone line. And then I woke up. My understanding and interpretation of this wasn't actually, oh no, heavens to Betsy, I've been left below or left behind or anything like that. My strong impression and my practice from then forward, and oh yeah, this was during the height of the La Palma volcano timing. It was around that time. My strong impression was to stay focused on. There are a lot of watchmen and women who stay focused on Yahushua or the rapture by being hyper focused on world events as a form of watching, which is, fine, because, not all messages are for everyone. But I know for me, it was basically saying, don't get wrapped up in the world. Don't get distracted by what you already know what's going to happen. You already know there's going to be wars. You already know that the safe haven of the United States is no longer going to be a safe haven. You already know that there's going to be warfare on your shores. You already know that there's going to be calamities. So don't have that be your focus. Don't have that be your center of attention. Keep watching for him. So that's what I took away from that. Maybe that's helpful for someone. But the 2 dreams that I had back to back, same night, same dreaming, on December 21st, also had to do with warfare. And I'm just gonna, when I woke up, I wrote everything down, so I'm gonna read it. It has each dream has someone that I've known, and I'm just gonna refer to them by part of their name, and give some backstory when I need to give backstory. So, I was streaming this December 21st, so before Christmas. I highlight that just to say it was before all of the things started popping off between Russia and Ukraine and all that. So just to say that's not what was on my mind, wasn't going to bed with that in mind or anything like that. And this may be unrelated to what's currently going on, just to say that as well. As the wise folks say, take it to God in prayer. Okay, so the first dream, some guy wanted to show me his helicopter. I should say, the surroundings of this dream was like an American military base. This conversation was happening in a parking lot. It's like I just got out of my car, and this guy is talking to me in a parking lot of a military base. Some guy wanted to show me his helicopter and all its compartments. It was very important to him that I see his compartments. He wanted me to follow him to his helicopter. As he went on and on, I told him about Miller, who was a fiance of mine who passed away, and he was in the military. He worked on Blackhawks and Apaches, and so I was just telling this person in my dream about Miller and just about his helicopters and what he did. The guy said, in World War III, old technology is going to defeat new technology. I asked, why? Because is it more robust? Is it stronger? More powerful? And he just kind of nodded his head or shook his head and was like, nope. And he just did a small little laugh. Behind me, I could hear/see jets and helicopters being moved down the road. It felt, I guess here's where I put it. It feels like a military base. So when I saw these jets and helicopters being moved down the road, they were on like these large flatbed vehicles, like big trucks that just have like a flatbed, and they were like on the back of them. We are about to enter a small commissary. The guy moves through the shopping area into the back room, out of the door in the back. As they follow him into the back room, the store manager, who was in a wheelchair, I put in parentheses, he looked like G.I. Joe in a wheelchair. He asked me to help him and to look for garbage bags, and that a civilian dressed customer was looking for. I looked and I found some, and I turned around and I gave them the pack. I put them down and I continued out the back door. So I helped this gentleman get some black trash bags off the shelves, and I gave them to a customer that was in civilian clothing. I'll note here that just now when I was reading it, it just occurred to me that there has been some murmurings of the 3 days of darkness, and in a pinch, to cover your windows from the darkness that will come, one can use black trash bags to block out what is happening outside. If you don't know what the 3 days of darkness or anything about that, in previous dreams that I've recorded, I've spoken about a gross darkness that's covered the planet. It's inky black and evil. Horrible things will happen if you're outside of your dwelling. Do not let anyone in your house. Sanctify your house, pray over your house, have candlelight at the very least. If you need to fortify one room and retreat into one room, do that. Do not leave your property or go outside until you're clear of 3 days. Do not go to your car. Do not, if you have animals, you better put them inside or make sure they're secured. And if it doesn't happen, you have nothing to worry about. But if it does happen, you need to do those things. All right, for the second dream. Oh, before I move on to the second dream, I should probably say, I don't remember. I mean, I didn't write down whether I caught up with the guy or not. My notes say, so I put the grocery bags, the trash bags down, and I continued out the back door. And that seems like to be the end of that dream. I'll say that the highlight in that dream is the phrase, old tech will defeat new tech. And right after this, I had this second dream, and I'm surprised both of them are related. And I didn't even realize they were related until I woke up. But let's put a pin in that first one. In my next dream, I found myself at a large barbecue restaurant. And I was sitting across from someone I loved very much who, this person delights in surrounding himself with dark people, people of darkness. They celebrate their sin. I'll call this person Beckett. I was sitting across the table from Beckett, and it felt like there was a friend of mine sitting to his left. He ordered food for the table, and then the other person ordered something. I didn't speak. I didn't say anything. I didn't even speak to the server. Beckett had his hands folded in front of his face, with his elbows on the table. The waitress glanced at his wrists or his hands, and then grabbed the other person's wrists and said something like, I have to check you. Like, I have to check their hands. And the person had whatever it was that the waitress was looking for and let go of her. I hid my hands behind my back. I also knew that I did not have whatever the server was looking for. And that screams Mark of the Beast. And actually, I think I'll mention one dream that I had about that with my family. I suppose I didn't order. She wasn't going to check me, so that might be why I didn't order any food. At this time, two of Beckett's dark friends showed up and sat to the right of me. And this person said to Beckett of me, ew, why is she still here? Which, in real life, I probably would have just like smiled and grinned and just ignored it. But for some reason I wasn't having it. So I took my two fingers and I grabbed the girl by the chin and said, you interrupted me. This is our table. You aren't invited here. Leave. And I pushed her chair back. I'm not condoning violence, but I'm just saying what happened. I apologized to Beckett because I had to put his friend in her place. I apologized what I said, but she's trash. I had to put her in her place. And then after that was kind of over with, I told her it was time for her to go. I turned my attention back to Beckett, and Beckett turned to me and he said these words. This is December 21st. They are about to reset the whole system in a few months. I've gotten rid of all my computers, and I got the ARPA system. I wonder if you can sell the old ones. I've done everything that I can do to prepare. That's all he said. And that was the end of the dream. So, Mark of the Beast, unmarked, getting food. Or, I mean, it could have maybe not have been the Mark of the Beast. It could have just been the Jabby Juice Passy Poo. Regardless, this is exactly what he said in the dream. They are about to reset the whole system in a few months. I've gotten rid of all my computers, and I got the ARPA system. I wonder if you can sell the old ones, meaning, I wonder if I can sell my old computers or something like that. I've done everything that I can do to prepare. That, in combination with the previous dream, when I woke up, I was thinking, oh, sorry. So when I woke up, I looked up ARPA, and the top two results were Automatic Radar Plotting Aid, and the second result was ARPANET, which was or is the project that funded the first initial military internet. And I wrote down, I have the understanding that the next large-scale war will use highly technically advanced weapons whose weakness is their reliance on networking and computers. Old military equipment arsenals will come in in a clutch if/when the weapons are hacked or if somehow their computers are corrupted. So I'm guessing like an EMP. I guess also in reflection, it's possible that one may be wise to use your old computers as hard drives. You may want to start downloading everything that you can on USBs, and any old laptops, use them as external hard drives or something that don't necessarily have to go online. I think that would be a very wise thing to do. And like I said, both of these dreams happened in December or before the new year started. And also going back to the mark, I'll say that one dream that I had with my family members, they were all, it's like I dropped in from wherever I was floating around to visit them, and they were all living in one room, almost like a one-room cabin, and they were just lifting up their hands, eating in unison robotically. They just had like a plate of food and just like robotically move their food to their mouths, and it was like their arms were controlled. I guess I'll also kind of segue into spiritual warfare. this one bridges both, so spiritual warfare and Mark B. I had another dream not too long ago. This was probably this past month, early February of 2022. It was a small, short dream, but just to record a quick note about a dream that I might need to publish. On January 31st, I woke up from a dream where I was in Japan. I could understand the language. Now that I think about it, that's an interesting point. There were two Japanese girls. I want to say they were sisters. And they hadn't taken the mark. And the mark was somehow related to the vaccine, or at least an injection of some kind. And they were in like a boarding school or something like that. They were in a schooling situation where they were away from their parents for a long time, so I assume it was a boarding school. And their teacher was saying that they had to get the injection or they would be beheaded. And these girls were like maybe between 8 and maybe 11, something like that. And these girls were trying to find a way to escape the school. And I was with them. They saw me for help, but I don't know if anyone else could see me unless I willed it. They were going through different hallways and trying to find an exit out. And they went up these steps, and it wound up being kind of like a library. And this older, maybe like administrative role, maybe like a vice principal, or head teacher, something like that, got them, stopped them. And I don't know if I was speaking directly to the teacher or if I was speaking through the girl to the teacher, but I was trying to figure out how I could get them out of the school. That was like my first step, was to get them out of this building. And so the teacher or the administrator was like, okay, well, if you don't get this injection, you can either go overseas, get this injection, and then you can go overseas and you can enjoy this cool field trip overseas, or you can not get the injection and have your head cut off. And either way, they weren't going to see their parents for a long time. And it was either their parents were going to find them dead, or their parents were going to not see them because they were going to go overseas. And so I told the girls, or a girl, I said, ask her, or ask if you can see your parents in either case to say goodbye. And so the girls asked this head nurse if they could do that, if they could say goodbye to their parents. And the head nurse capitulated after a while and allowed them to see their head nurse. And from that point, I knew that I could get them out of the school. And once I could get them out of the school, I knew I could take them to safety. And that was the end of the dream.